Hello, everybody. Welcome to Scribbles with Jonathan, episode 33. I'm your host, Jonathan Rector. You guys can check out my website at jonathanrector.com. You can also follow me on Twitter. My username on there is Art by Jar. I'll leave that stuff in the comments for you and a link to Facebook and all that good stuff. Today, what I figured we would do is talk a little bit about digitally inking, and it's something I'm getting into fresh and I'm new to it, so I'm still learning a lot. But I did want to throw a little, some information out there for those of you that are like me that for some reason, I'll give you my quick example. I don't like to ink with a regular quill or a pen, and the only reason for that is I don't seem or feel like I have the time to actually put towards learning it correctly. I want to focus on being the best penciler I can be. Um, and even though my work that I would ink myself or something like that, I know I will eventually have to ink. If I can find little shortcuts along the way to make it look inked, um, you know, that's what I'm looking for. And I will recommend if you do want to get the best inking look for your pencils, the method I'm going to show you is going to be dwarfed immediately by if you ink your own work. If you don't ink your work, but you're looking to maybe turn your pencils into like an inked finish look, hopefully this can help you out. So I'm just going to open it up real quick. It's an old picture I did of Juggernaut from Marvel Comics. And this is just a regular scanned in image. As you can see, it's all penciled. I didn't change the levels, mess with anything like that. What you're going to want to do is go up to Image, Mode, and make sure it's grayscale. Okay. Now, if you're not familiar with what I'm going to show you here, I'm going to show you how to record actions. So what the action does is when I press a button, it's going to ink the image automatically. And I'm just going to press that button right now. And as you can see, all of a sudden it's dark. It's to me it's inked. We're gonna have to push it further than this, but it's to that level where I can finally take this into something that's workable. But how do we get to this? So I'm just gonna undo that. If you go up to Window and click on Actions, that's going to bring up this little window over here. And I realize that you might not be able to see it on your screen, but depending on the Photoshop you have, you should have something here. If you click on this new button, right up here it's going to say name. I change it to inks. When you go to set, don't mess with that. Function key. Now this is where it can get a little interesting. I change it to F2 because there's nothing I use Photoshop with the F2 button that I know of. So every time I press F2, it's going to go through all these settings that we're going to punch in. So I put it as F2. You can choose it to whatever you want. And once you have it, you just click, excuse me, hit record. And what's going to happen is right here in this window, it's going to be recording. Okay. It's not going to be recording on the screen because I've already done this, but I'm just going to step you through what's going on. So every action you do from this point on is going to get recorded, okay? So what we want to do is the first thing is go up to Image, Adjustments, and click on Auto Levels. Let Photoshop do its thing. You might notice it darken a little bit. Then you're going to want to go back up to Image, Adjustments, Levels, and here you got the three boxes right at the top. So right across, we're going to go, the first one we're going to put 27. The next one we're going to leave it at 1.00, and then the next one we're going to put at 241. Press enter. Then we're going to go to Image, Adjust Brightness Contrast. Leave the brightness where it is. Excuse me. Under Contrast, put 45. And finally, we go up to Filter, Sharpen, Unsharp Mask. Okay. Now the amount you're going to put at 180, your radius at 50, and threshold at 0. Okay. When you click OK, it should look nice and inked for you. And you'll notice that it's much more cleaner, much more crisp. You can all of a sudden see the whites and things like that. In that little window that you had that was popped up, now you can click stop. So all the things that you've done, you just press F2, bang, it'll go through it all over again. Okay. So now that I have this, what I do is I'll usually go into a couple stages, okay? I'll put a new layer above this, and usually right away, what I'll do is I'll start blocking in the blacks, the solid blacks, and then once all my solid blacks are going there, I'll go in with an eraser and clean up areas like up at the top right here. I don't know if you can see it. Let me zoom in here, just so you can really see it. See all that? That's the smearing from the paper and all that good stuff. Um, some areas like this where there's still the sketch left in there. The main reason why I like doing this too is it saves a lot of the rendering that I do personally, so it comes out a lot nicer. But let's just do it. So what I'll do is I'll grab a lasso tool. You can go ahead and use a freehand lasso tool if you have a really steady hand in a tablet. I like to just use the polygonal one. And I'm gonna do this really simply here. because we don't have so much time. And I've already established, this is where inking traditionally with like a quill or a pen is going to be better than this, because all I'm limited to do at this point, until again I learn more about this, is I'm only limited to the shading that I've done in like solids. Like I can't really go in here and do special splatter effects. If there's a splatter effect or something, I need to, get a nice brush setting that's already been, on one of my brushes in Photoshop. And also sometimes, I don't know if you can see here on the right of where I'm going, where the thick line is for Juggernaut's helmet, there's holes all up in that black area. Usually I'll go in there to clean that up. Sometimes I won't. I find as you zoom out, here I'll go into it a little bit right now, but as you zoom out, sometimes you don't see that. And it's something that you might want to test to see how your monitor and your computer is picking it up. Just getting a little bit of lag here because I'm streaming. But yeah, so you might want to print it out to get a little couple dry run tests to see, how much of that ink is actually getting picked up and how much isn't. And here I'm just going to go here just so you can see it right away, what the black's going to look like here. In this process here, this sketch, it's not that big. Usually would take me, looking at this image, this would probably take me about an hour to 2 hours to fully ink. And that's including cleanup as well. And for any freelancers that are out there, or independent artists like myself, when you start looking for clients, I find a lot of the clients online, they're looking for pencilers who ink as well. And the main reason why I started looking into this, trying to figure this out, is because I was finding that there was a lot of work that I couldn't do just based on the fact that I wasn't inking my work. So, most creative teams, when they're looking to get their team together, uh, you know, a lot of people, they don't like the colored over pencils look. They prefer it all to be inked, like a traditional American comic and traditional comic in general, really. So in order to get those jobs, I had to figure out a way to ink. And like I was saying earlier, I don't have the time to sit down and learn how to properly ink because that's a lot of jobs I could be losing. So if I figured out a way to do it digitally, I'd be in business. Okay, so you probably can't see it. Maybe you can. There's little dancing lines there. Um, just gotta make sure I don't black Juggernaut's eye here. So I'm just gonna go over here, and real soon we'll see some really cool inking going on. I think anyway. And I see I got about 2 minutes left, and I'll try to quickly show an example of pages that I've done like this. Okay, so we got that. Just let me zoom out here so when we see it, it looks like it's a big bang, a big bang of black. So we got our press D for default, so you got your solid black, and just press Alt backspace, and boom, that's inked. And I can zoom in here, and these are the areas right here that I'm talking about that would take a little bit of time getting in on all this nitty gritty. And of course, there's a lot of cleanup that has to be put in here. Um, and like a lot of these lines, they aren't totally smooth, so I might grab just a regular hard edge brush with a pressure opacity on to, or pressure sensitivity to change the size of the brush, just so that you can actually see it a little bit better. But yeah, there you go. Like, I mean, if you keep playing around with this, you might actually get some effects that you'd like. So let me just quickly, very quickly, take a look at some comic pages here. Comics. Where are we at here? We're looking for the standard that I did with John Lees. And anybody that's actually following me on the live USTREAMs, I've been talking about a contest coming up for this soon. Let me see if I can get a nice detailed one. Him flying through the city. Ah, come on. Here we go. And so here you go. You can see that's all I did for an image like this. And comes across as pretty inked, and a colorist can get in here and do what he needs to do. So thank you guys so much. I hope you guys learned a little bit something from it. You guys can always get a hold of me on Twitter at ArtByJar, and check out my website at jonathanrector.com. Take care, guys, and see you next week.